Design thinking is a methodology that helps you to come up with ideas and validate them faster. Now, I'm not going to tell you a lot about design thinking in this video. You will have a complete separate session on design thinking, so I'm just going into the basics here. The first step is always the empathy phase, empathizing. You have a hypothesis of something like, let's say, I want to improve the ticket vending machine for train tickets. And that's your hypothesis that you start out. But then you go out and observe people using such a ticket vending machine. You interview people. You look at what are the motivations and the interests of those people. Who are the people going there? You look at then once you come back, you look at definitions. You define what is called a persona. A persona is basically a representation of the users that are using that. So instead of having a market segment, you say, this is Susan. And Susan is a 35-year-old single mother, and so on. And from that on, you can build a whole story around that. And you use techniques like, why would she do that? Is she motivated? What are her goals? What are her behaviors? What is she looking at from a metrics perspective? Or if not, what could we look from a metrics perspective on it? Then we ideate around, yeah, we try to find better ideas, change our hypothesis. We use different design elements that we have. We use prototyping tools. And this can be just paper, this can be pipe cleaners, plastic stuff, whatever we have at our hands, and tie it together, bring it together, and design a prototype. Then we test it. We test it first with us. We test it then maybe with the persona, with the person that we've met. We look at the usability. We look at the dynamics and how people engage with that. And once we are sure that is something, and we are always iterating, it's not a linear process, we're iterating, we're going back and forth, we may implement it at one stage and, develop the product, develop a game, develop the new software that we have here. We launch it, let now the people really work with it, and then we start fine-tuning that. We look at the balancing. We also need to operate that. That means we look at the different analytics, the data that we generate. So it's very important to be here pretty quick. And here's a question to you. What do you think? How long did it take to create the first Google Glass prototype? You may have heard about Google Glass, but how much time do you think did it take to create the first Google Glass prototype? Just think of it, yeah. And I tell you, it's not days, it's not weeks, it's not months, it was actually half an hour. Because what they took is just modeling wire. Yeah? Within 30 minutes, they had used modeling wire, put it on their nose, and try to figure out how would it look like, where would I look, how would I use that thing, where did I get the information, yeah? How would I touch it and navigate this thing? And then in the further stage, we have more sophisticated prototypes. So you can buy, in this fun stores, cheap glasses, often plastic things, and that's what they did. So they used that and put some electronics on that and whatever they could get, and then had basically at the end a more polished version that you could buy. Similar, an otolaryngology tool, a medical tool basically. This was the first prototype that they had. And you see what they used? They used a marker, they used a film box, a film can, and some clips and some tape. And that's how they put it together. And just to demonstrate of how this should look like, how you hold it in your hands, and the final product in the end looked like this. So such a prototype already can convey a lot of information to your co-inventors, to the people that you work with, to show them and demonstrate them how the product would look like, how you would use it. And here you work already on ideas. There is no need that it has to be polished at this moment. This is very unpolished, but it does not distract you from how do you use that? Yeah, if you're looking already at the polished version, then you start discussing the colors of it or the location of a button on that thing. But that doesn't matter here because you're thinking of the basic usage of that, and then you get such a product.